How's it, punters? Welcome back to the BSB Podcast World Cup 2022 edition. We're going to be running through our group predictions, our outright predictions, and the first couple of matches, as well as some general World Cup talk. Nothing else today. We were, just a quick recap, we were one leg out of our bet last week for those who were following, but it was Man City that let us down. But
incredibly unlucky there, huh?
Yeah, very much so. And with me as always is Simon. And Simon, let's just jump straight into it. Let's start off with the groups. We're going to be going through each of the groups, making our predictions and, just seeing who we think is going to finish on top and what kind of betting value is there. So I've got Betway open on the one side. I've got the Eurosport World Cup predictor open on the other side. Let's jump straight into Group A, where we have Qatar, the hosts, Ecuador, Senegal, Netherlands. Netherlands favourites, followed by Senegal and Ecuador, Qatar. I think Netherlands win this group, Simon.
Yeah, I agree with you, Rob. I think that's one of the more straightforward of them. I don't think there are any real group of deaths in this World Cup, but I think that's one of the more straightforward predictions there. And what the odds are there? What 1.4, I think.
Yeah, not bad to be honest. For like an accumulator or something. I don't see anyone beating them. I think it's going to be Netherlands, and then I think Senegal is probably going to be the only African side that make it out of the group stages due to the draws.
Right.
And then after that, I think. Toss up between Qatar and Ecuador. I'm going to give it to Qatar. They're probably going to end up on the same amount of points. I don't think it's going to matter. I don't think they're going to go through to the next round.
Yeah, that could be quite tight for that second place. It'll be difficult. I think as you say, I think the outright winner there should be fairly easy for the Netherlands, but second place, it's tough to say. I think.
Look, Ecuador could surprise us, but I just see Senegal going through there. They're fairly one of the stronger African sides. I don't see Qatar challenging them. The less said about the national side of Qatar, the better. I think it's probably one of the weakest national sides we've ever had in a World Cup. They could surprise us, but let's just jump over to Group B, which is quite an interesting, very competitive group, I've got to say. It looks pretty straightforward on paper. But there's a lot of potential for upsets in this group. Group B's got England, Iran, USA, and Wales in it. Got to go with England for the group winner here, 1.33. I'm not sure who you planning on backing there, Simon.
Yeah, look, I think England really should win that, and I do. Although I don't fancy the odds right, we'll obviously talk about outrights later, but they are a fancy of mine for the World Cup. As an outright winner. So I think again that one looks fairly straightforward to me, but they definitely, I agree with you. There's some danger in all three of those teams actually, who England will basically be competing with to top Group B. So yeah, obviously we all know USA have they have a lot of potential. Wales as well, some really, really good players there, obviously Bale, Ramsey and so on. Look, there's definitely potential for an upside. I think England should take it. That second position could be quite contested. I wouldn't write Iran out of that second position at all. I think England win this group, but I think the second place is going to be. I honestly think it could go to any of those three teams.
For me, I think it's going to be a toss up between USA and Wales. Iran are under Carlos Queiroz, so the old Bafana coach from years back.
That's right. Yeah.
They're a solid side. They're actually really, really good. Look, they're not in the same pedigree as a side like England, but I think they could challenge for that second spot. So if you're looking for like a nice outsider bet, it's very unlikely, but I think you're going to get some fantastic odds on Iran to finish second. However, for me, it's between USA and Wales. USA is probably the best side that they've ever sent to a World Cup. I can't look past them for second spots. Wales, perhaps, but it's almost a coin flip. I'm giving the edge to USA for the second spot in that group.
Sure, no, I'm with you there, but I think it's definitely a group to look out for, because I think that there's definitely going to be some. It could get a bit squeaky bum at the end there.
Especially with Iran. If Iran are gonna come out and play like super negative football, that's really gonna frustrate England. England, that kind of thing. So if Iran can score first, it should be a cracker of a match. But if England go ahead and score an early goal, or one of the other sides score an early goal against Iran, I think the floodgates would open a bit. They force them to come out of the shell. Very strong defensively, Iran. So I'm going to go with England, USA. I'm just putting Iran as third place because I kind of fancy a bit of an upset here. And then Wales in that fourth position. Right then, Group C. This is quite an easy one in my opinion. Argentina. We've got Saudi Arabia. We've got Mexico. And we've got Poland. Argentina, a very delicious 1.39 to top that group. I feel like this group's even easier than Group B in the sense of the powerhouse nation in there.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. Although obviously England are rated higher than Argentina and are expected to have a better chance of winning the World Cup overall, I think that Argentina's opponents in this Group C are easier than England. So I agree. I think that there's definitely a little bit of value in backing that Argentina, even at that short price, especially when compared to England. So I think this is a more of a gimme on Argentina.
Such a solid side, Argentina. We'll chat a bit about outrights, and I do fancy them to go far in this tournament. That second spot, I think, is, it's going to be a toss-up between Poland and Mexico. I can tell you now, Saudi Arabia are going to be bottom of the group. Surprised they're getting, odds of 22 when you compare them to Iran. I think Iran will thrash them any day of the week. But the second spot, I'm going to go with Poland. Lewandowski is still one of the best strikers in the world.
Yeah. Look, I mean, I think it's those two. I mean, I think the fact that they're almost rated equally to come second there in terms of odds, I think that's very accurate to me. I think that Mexico and Poland are quite equally poised, but I would also favor Poland over Mexico there for that second position.
And I think for a lot of these second spots that we're talking about, a lot of these teams are going to be, going through to the next round and then going out in the round of 16. We'll get into some of the permutations a bit later when we get to the knockout stages once we've made our group selections. But so that's Argentina, Poland, Mexico. I don't see anyone else finishing on top there other than Argentina. So let's jump over to Group D, where we've got quite a difficult group in the sense of France aren't in great form. There's a lot of troubles in the French squad going to the World Cup. They are head and shoulders above everyone in the group. I don't. Look, the Danes might pull a bit of an upset here, and they are kind of priced for that upset at 3.6.
Yeah.
But France are 1.41. I mean, there is that thing of World Cup winners going out in the first round of the next World Cup. I don't know if you've picked up on that trend. We had, I think it was Germany, France happened to France. I think it happened to Italy.
I agree with you. I think that it's going to be difficult for France to retain the trophy. Absolutely. And I think, look, Denmark can definitely give them a run there. I mean, look, Australia could absolutely compete with Denmark for that second position, I believe, as well. Probably, I mean, I would favor them over Tunisia to take that second spot. But they could certainly, I mean, Denmark's obviously the expected second qualifier there. But look, I see France winning this, but I think that I got a feeling that Australia might just put Denmark there into that second position. Might be a nice outlying bet there.
I think Denmark might even challenge France for the top spot. You're putting a lot of hate on the Danes, but I think they've got such a solid squad. They've been playing so well recently. They don't have the quality that France have, but France just have so many issues at the moment. I can't back them outright for the entire tournament. I'll back them for the group. I think they'll finish top of the group, but I think the Danes could challenge them. So I'm going with France, Denmark, Australia, Tunisia in that order. You're a toss up between Australia and Denmark. I'm not sure about the Socceroos, Simon.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's look. I think that probably in 8 groups you normally have 2 or potentially 3 unexpected qualifiers. This might be one of them as far as I can see. But it's obviously going to be a long shot. But maybe a bit of value there in backing Australia to get that second place.
I mean, when was that? Which was it? The last World Cup where Australia went unbeaten in the World Cup.
Yeah.
3 draws.
Don't
think
not
that's
the worst
happen.
results, I suppose.
No, not the worst results. Didn't see them through. But so France, Denmark, or Australia, and then Tunisia. All right, Group E, we've got Spain, we've got Costa Rica, we've got Germany, Japan. Pretty tough group, Simon. It's up between Spain and Germany. I'm going for Spain to take the group. I think they've improved so much in the last couple of years. They've got a really good squad. They impressed me a lot at the Euros as well. Germany, still very solid squad. Possible dark horses for the tournament, but I think Spain's going to have the better of them in this group.
Yeah, I think Germany also, it's a case of quite a few key players kind of just moving on. But yeah, this is a very, very, very tough one to call. But I mean, with the bookmakers giving Spain the slight advantage, I think that's pretty spot on as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I think
I
there's
think
good
Spain, as you
value at
said,
that 1.86 on Spain.
yeah, they do. They definitely have the edge for me. I think it's a very, very tough one. Probably the toughest first or second place across the World Cup in the groups. But yeah, I think I would also give Spain the slight advantage there. I mean, between Japan and Costa Rica, I mean, Japan should
Yeah.
overcome them there.
Was it
But
Costa
yeah,
Rica got towards the quarters? I think it was of the 2018 World Cup. Was it the?
yeah, and they were also one of the last qualifiers, if I remember, for this World Cup. So, yeah, look, I mean, it should be a Spain Germany 1-2. We just
Mm.
the order I would go Spain first, but and it sounds like you would as well. But so it's going to be close for sure.
Yeah, and I think there's great value backing Spain for a group winner 1.86. And yeah, as I said, I just don't see Germany beating them to that spot. I think that game's going to be an absolute crack. I think both of the sides are going to beat Japan and Costa Rica.
Mm,
Japan in third, Costa Rica at the bottom of the table.
yeah.
I don't see anything else happening. Sure, that top spot could toss up, but I think there's, as I mentioned, really good value backing Spain here at
Yes.
1.86. It's some of the best odds that I've seen so far. Let's move on to Group F. We've got Belgium, we've got Canada, we've got Morocco, and we've got Croatia. This is also quite an interesting group because I think
Mm,
that second qualifying spot is up for grabs. Potentially for Morocco. Although Croatia are always overperforming. When it comes to big tournaments, and they
yes. Well, this
did
is the
really
reason
well.
I agree with you. I think that this is a very, very interesting group, I must say, and I actually think that there's definitely a possibility of Croatia topping this group above Belgium. I would certainly not be surprised. I think that Belgium are definitely the right favourites there, about 8-13. But I think that Croatia could certainly pip them to the post there. And as you say, then that's obviously that second place becomes, whichever team doesn't win, sort of, you would expect them to come second. But you certainly can't ride out Morocco, or ride off rather Morocco either. So I think really this. I mean, I would not say that there's a good chance of Canada coming through
No,
this,
no
but
chance.
any of those three teams and the order of those three teams, I think is going to be tricky to predict actually.
And Belgium missing, players like Lukaku and
Mm,
whatnot, has been
absolutely,
ruled out of the World Cup, but they've got Kinkev. So,
they do. Yeah.
ooh, yeah, they're going to be the group winners for me. I'm just going to go with what I think is going to happen here. Belgium, Croatia, Morocco, Canada in that order. Morocco can challenge for a spot there. I think it depends how Croatia are going to be playing in the tournament. That's the big thing. I mean,
Mm,
Modric always brings up his game on the world stage, and
absolutely.
key player there, still in great form. But yeah, like I just haven't seen enough of them recently. So I just think it's going to be Belgium and
You're right
Belgium
though. They
going through.
do. Croatia certainly do pull things out the bag for international tournaments. They always kind of lift up their level. So I think they're certainly going to be competitive there. And I'll be rooting for them to win the group. I must say. I think that's it'll be an interesting one to watch.
It's also the last kind of, that Belgium have been dark horses for the last, what is it, two World Cups, 2014, 2018, just never quite lived up to
No, they haven't.
expectations. Probably had one of the best squads in the world at the time as well, on paper,
Hmm.
and just
Yeah.
just haven't quite lived up to that. So it's maybe a chance for them to do it, but I just, with the current squad and setup that they have, I don't see them going too far in the tournaments. But I do think they should top the group. Right, let's go to Group G. This is also quite an interesting group, a very, very competitive group. We've got Brazil, Serbia, Switzerland, and Cameroon. You got to feel sorry for Cameroon here. it's
Yeah, sure. I mean, getting pitted against such strong sides there, that's unlucky. And obviously, the tournament favourites Brazil as well. So yeah, that's a bit unlucky. I mean, obviously being Africa's consistently. I mean, Africa's one of their very, very top sides. So yeah, it's a pity this one. Well, how do you see this one going, Rob? From
I
first
see
second
it
position.
going Brazil. I think the Swiss could upset the Brazilians. The Swiss, it's another solid side like the Danish.
Hmm.
I mean, they've beaten a lot of big sides around them. And yeah, they could potentially upset it, but I really fancy Brazil in this World Cup. I just think they're too solid. However, I'm not ruling out an upset against Switzerland, maybe topping the group, because that would make things very, very interesting when it comes to the knockout stages if Brazil finish second here.
It certainly would, and I mean, I think Switzerland will certainly be looking over their shoulder at Serbia as well, because you absolutely can't write them off getting nabbing that second spot. As you say, Switzerland could certainly challenge Brazil for top as well. So I think this is quite an interesting one with some very strong teams.
Yeah, I see. I mean, Serbia are 6.9 in the odds compared to Switzerland 6, and I think that's quite off. I think, well, I mean, this is for group winner, of course, but I think the
Yeah.
Swiss are a lot stronger than the Serbs. So I'm going with Brazil, Switzerland. Uh, Third and fourth doesn't really matter that much because you're not going through, but let's say it's probably going to be Cameroon. I don't know, Cameroon and then Serbia. But
Yeah, I don't know. It's yeah. I mean, I feel Cameroon could definitely challenge Serbia and get that third spot. It would be fantastic for an African nation at least to overcome Serbia.
I think the only African nation that we have going through at the moment is Senegal, and that's in
Mm,
Group A. It's really
yeah,
really rough
it's
draws for
tough.
the African sides. It's just, I mean,
Yeah.
Belgium, Croatia, not easy at all. We've got a group against Brazil and Switzerland. Yeah, just don't underestimate the Swiss. I think they might have what it takes to have a deep run into the tournament. So
Sure.
that's my kind of underdog. Not that I think they'll win it by any stretch, but I think they could, upset a few of the apple carts. And then Group H, another interesting group, another very competitive group. We've got Portugal, Uruguay, Republic of Korea, and Ghana. And I really fancy Portugal for a long run into the World Cup. And I also really like the look of this Uruguayan side.
Yeah, look, I mean, those two. I mean, South Korea also surprised us in World Cups in the past. So nice to have them in this highly competitive group. I think. Yeah, I think. Look, I mean, Portugal kind of often get overlooked. They're sort of they have a couple of good tournaments, and then they kind of fall under the radar, and then they put in a brilliant performance. So, I think yeah, these two sides quite evenly poised. Actually, you have to give Portugal the edge there,
Yeah,
but obviously Uruguay. But they won the very first World Cup. Can never ignore them. Also, a slightly aging side, but I think with a very good chance as well. But I'd have to give I'd have to make Portugal favourites there.
yeah, they've got such a strong squad. I mean, even with the exclusion of Ronaldo,
Mm,
well, I think he's included in the squad. But if you were to take him out of the squad, I think the squad's probably stronger without him. But he's the talisman. He's got to be there. So
yeah.
I'm gonna take Portugal as the group winner, Uruguay second. I think Korea's gonna come in third, and I think Ghana's gonna be at the bottom of the table, unfortunately.
Mm.
So it looks
Yeah, that
very
looks
dire for the
likely.
Africans.
It does, as you say. Yeah, it's just a very tough draw for them. Very tough. But yeah, I think as you say, I think Senegal is probably our best chance there.
Then let's move on to the knockouts. We've made our selections for the groups. Let's see what the knockouts are potentially going to have in store with our selections. I think we're pretty much even
Yeah.
on all our selections, and we'll substitute one or two of those in. So let me quickly click through to that. Right, round of 16, Netherlands versus USA, and I think that's going to be Netherlands against USA or Wales or Iran. I think the Netherlands should take on any of those sides from Group B.
Agreed, 100%.
I see them progressing to the quarterfinals pretty easily. It's quite a nice route that they've got. Then the next round of 16 is going to be Argentina, or as our predictions go, Argentina against Denmark. Ooh, Denmark or France? That could be an absolute cracker. France finished second in that group. You've got kind of like a World Cup final in the round of 16.
Yes, yeah,
So,
good, interesting permutations there for sure.
but I think the Argentines will quite comfortably get past Denmark. And if it's France, it's another story. I still think they'll beat France though if they come up against them in that round. So I'm still sticking with Argentina to beat either France or Denmark in the round of 16. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, no, I think that's exactly the way I would put it as well. I think they go through.
Okay, so Argentina, so that sets up a nice Netherlands-Argentina final, quarterfinal that is. Then we have Spain taking on Croatia. That's quite a tough one to call.
Mm,
I think Spain will edge them out there. As I said, it's going to be Spain or Croatia, they could potentially play Belgium there as well. I still think Spain's going to have too much for either of those sides, though, whether it's Croatia or Belgium.
Yeah, sure. I mean, that's just so hard to predict at this stage, isn't it? I mean, we'll have to see what kind of form teams are showing throughout the tournament. But I mean, it's tough. I mean, you have to at this point put Spain as favourites to progress there, but it really could go either way, I think.
All right, I'm in agreement there, Spain. Let's move on to our Brazil versus Uruguay. I think Brazil take that one.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, we'll get on to outrights in a minute, but I think that they'll win that quite comfortably.
If it's Brazil Portugal, that's I think that's another matter. That I wouldn't be able to decide, to be honest. I'd have to do a coin flip for that one. I'd give the Brazilians the edge, but it's a World Cup, so anything can happen. But yeah, Brazil should make it into the next round to face a very juicy quarterfinal tie with Spain.
Yeah.
Then let's go on to England taking on what we think is going to be Senegal. I mean, I think that's a pretty straightforward win for England there. I think they're going to have a reasonable run in the tournament. England, not too far. We'll chat about the outrights in a bit. So it's going to be them. It's going to be England against Netherlands, potentially Senegal or Ecuador, and I think they'll beat any of the sides from Group A. So I think a quarterfinal spot is a good shout for England here. And then they're going to have to take on the winner between what's probably going to be France or Poland.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you look at, I mean, I fancy England, but they definitely have one of the easier runs of the big teams. If you consider they have one of the easiest groups, and then their potential next round against Senegal.
Yeah, the round of 16 clashes.
Round of 16, exactly. So I think it's fairly straightforward for them to get to the final 8, and then you only have to win 3 games to win the World Cup. So I know 3 games is not a walk in the park, but I think that they certainly have a slightly easier path than some of the other teams which are pitted at the top of the odds board.
However, they are going to come up against the winner of France and Poland, and I'm going to go with France there to beat Poland.
But again,
Poles could cause an upset.
But again, as you said, France maybe perhaps not as prepared as they have been going into other World Cup. The worst thing in the world. So I think England could just sneakily kind of just squeak through and end up in a final quite easily, I must be honest. But yeah, whether they'll have enough to go all the way is another question.
Well, yeah, we'll get to that in a bit. We first got Belgium and Germany. That's going to be quite an interesting match. That one I cannot pick, Simon. I can't pick it. I mean, the flags look the same as well. Oh, almost. So I can't quite pick a winner there. I'm going to give the edge to the Germans. Although on the day either side could take it, it really is a coin toss. This is just me going with my gut on this one.
Absolutely, yeah. No, I also would find it very, very, very hard to make a pick there. I honestly couldn't. I would probably say Belgium personally, but sure, it's very, very hard to say.
Okay, so we'll call that Belgium Germany for the next round. Then we have Portugal against Switzerland. Another potential upset here. The Swiss could beat the Portuguese, but I don't think they will. I fancy Portugal to go through. I don't see anyone from that group giving them too much of a challenge. Obviously, it depends on the day. But that sets up our quarterfinals. So let's jump back to Netherlands, Argentina. I'm going with Argentina. I think we would both agree on that one.
Yes, I'd agree on that for sure.
And then the winner between Spain and Brazil.
I mean, yeah. I don't. No spoilers, but I'm going to say Brazil because that's my outright pick. So,
yeah, I fancy Brazil there as well. But
yeah,
it's a difficult one, hey.
It is absolutely.
I mean, think
penalties.
That match, the World Cup winner is going to be coming from this side of the draw. I don't think it's going to be coming from the other side of the draw.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with Brazil there as well, and that sets up a nice South American derby. Then we have England, France. Either side really. Toss a coin.
Again, very, very tricky. I'm going to go England there.
I think I'd also give the edge to the the English. Although if France can't beat them, I don't like the look of France so far, and I don't even know if they'll even get this far. Hopefully they do, so that our predictions are right. But so England's going to make it through to the Semi-finals potentially. I think this is where they might come unstuck though.
Yeah.
So I think a good bet would be, look at England to make the quarterfinals or the semi-finals, one of those two. We'll have a look at some of those odds in a bit. Then we have Germany, Portugal. I've got to go with the Portuguese here.
Yeah, another really, really, really tricky one. I think I think my gut feel would also be the Portuguese, but I think I'd have to certainly get a sort of feel for it. Obviously, if either team can get that far, but I definitely have to sort of feel it out and see how the first couple of weeks have gone. But that's so hard to make a call on that right now.
Obviously, our views and opinions are going to change massively during the course
Yeah,
of the World Cup, but we're just
yeah.
looking at how the sides kind of match up at the moment before having watched any games.
Mm.
So I'm Portugal. It's Portugal for me here.
Yeah, no, I would tend to agree with you. I think my gut would say Portugal at this stage.
And then our semi-finalists, we have Argentina, Brazil. Pick a
Another
winner
really
there, Simon. Wow. That's going to be a
football.
great matchup. Yeah, football's going to hopefully be the winner there. I don't know. I see Brazil beating them. Just
Yeah, look, I mean that's I think that they are the worthy World Cup favorites, and look, they've kind of We'll go. I don't want to talk too much about Brazil because we're going to get onto that shortly, but yeah, I think Brazil will take that.
yeah, I think the World Cup road ends for Messi in the semi-finals. Unfortunately, the man really does deserve a World Cup. Um,
Mm,
it would be amazing for them to
it's a
get
lot
to the
of reach.
final. Yeah,
Yeah,
but they can do it. They can do it. Obviously, depending on form and all of that. Then we have England, Portugal. I'm going with Portugal here, Simon. Are you going with the English?
sure. That to me is another really tough one because, as I said, I do fancy. I wouldn't say they're an outlier, and they're certainly not an outlier. I think they're third in the betting, but England are my second favorites to win
Okay.
the tournament. So I'm gonna go England there
So
for
you're going for
Portugal.
England to make a final and
Yeah,
fluff it in the final against
of course. I
against
knew
Brazil.
that.
I was hoping for an all Portuguese speaking final there with Brazil and Portugal, but
Yeah, no,
I'll
look, I think
I'll
I
put
think
England in there.
England can rely on a bit of luck, bit of an easy run, and potentially, well, I think they're going to need a little bit of luck maybe to get to the final. But I think the odds are in their favor. To put it bluntly, I think that they've got enough to get there, and they've certainly got a slightly easier run than some of the other favorites. So I can't see any reason why they can't make it to the final.
Okay, so we're predicting that the final's probably going to be Brazil against England. I'm going to kind of mix that up a bit. I think it's going to be Brazil, Argentina against. I'm going to go with France, Portugal as betting options.
Mm,
You
sure.
get some combinations going there that you can get some. Name the finalists.
Yeah.
Those are always bets that I do enjoy taking. I want to see. Here we go.
Sure.
We've got name the finalists. Yeah, we've got. Let's have a look and see what Brazil England 23.3 for naming the
Nice.
finalists.
Yeah.
That's very big.
And just a little tip for anybody who's placing a bet on a sports book that maybe don't have that market that say name the finalists. I know a lot of them do, but you can always just take an each way bet, and if the each way terms are 1 to 2, then you know that that's exactly the same kind of bet. Each way 1 to 2 means that if the team gets to the final, you'll cash.
Top eight. I've got some betting here available for the top eight. I think that's pretty good. We've got England in the top eight there, 1.5. So yeah, let's just jump straight out to our outrights. I mean, we've kind of gone through our fantasy predictor. So let me just
Yeah,
bring up all the betting. Okay, here we go. So I know we've made statements and we've made predictions and all of that, but that was a nice predicted game that I thought we would do before the World Cup. And let's just talk about the outrights now. We've got Brazil's favorites, we've got Argentina's second favorites. I think France are not value are no value at 7.45, and then we've got England at 8.9. Spain at 8.95, Germany at 10.9. Portugal, I think there's a lot of value on the Portuguese at 14, 15 almost.
yeah, they've moved out quite a bit, and I agree. I don't see any real reason. I think, look, the two teams that have come in the most, so the money's been coming for Brazil, and it's been coming for. I mean, it always comes for England, but the money for England comes early normally. But the money's been coming for Brazil, and the money's been coming for Spain. So that's kind of pushed the outliers out a bit. So, Portugal was sitting at around 11s and now they're 14s, 15s. So, yeah, I think that you are in sort of value territory now for Portugal. But yeah, I mean, my outright prediction of Brazil is incredibly short now. I think when I first looked at the odds, they were about
Yeah,
6.5.
yeah.
and now they're 4.75. And I mean, if you think about, no matter how good a team is, all the permutations that need to happen to win a World Cup, as much as I think Brazil have got the best chance, those odds are frighteningly short. But I can't. They are the team I predict to win. So although the price is not quite juicy enough that I would like, they are certainly my pick. And I mean, just looking at their recent form, I mean they've been incredible. They've
Oh,
won
beaten
four.
in like I don't know how many games it is now. It's
Yeah, well, they've won 14 of the last 17, and they drew the other three. So they're unbeaten. They haven't lost in 17 games, but they've actually won 14 out of those 17. So not many draws there. And they've also kept 22 clean sheets in the last 30 matches. I mean, that's incredible. That's more than
uh,
70% clean sheets. So think about it. They've lost no games, only drawn three, and they've also kept 22 out of 30 clean sheets. I mean, look, you don't have to go through the names really, but obviously you've got Neymar, Fabinho, Silva, and I think most importantly, you've got two of the best goalkeepers in the world in Allison and Edison. And I mean, World Cup matches, low scoring. It's
penalty
really
shootouts.
penalty shootouts. Exactly. If you've got a, I mean, the old cliche says you build a football team from the back, and the goalie's your most important player. And I think when it comes to international football, it's so much more important. Generally, much less goals are scored. I mean, unders, you'll see if you betting on the World Cup, the average under price, the over will be normally over even money, and the under will be
Mm.
uneven money. So a goalkeeper is always important, but I think in international football, a goalkeeper is even more valuable. So I just think there are a lot of things that point to Brazil. And as I said, I'm not getting hugely excited about price of around 4.75. You can find better than that, I'm sure, if you look around. But Brazil, I'm just going to be the boring, be boring and say that for a number of reasons, obviously, that they would be my outright pick. How do you feel, Rob?
Yeah, they're also my outright pick for the tournament. But I'm looking more for a value bet here, and I wanted to take
Mm,
Argentina as a value bet. I think it's going to be between Brazil and Argentina, to be honest, one of those two
hmm.
sides. They're on the same side of the draw, well, potentially.
Yeah.
But I do like I like the look of Spain here. 8.95 is a little bit of value there, I think.
Mm,
And even Portugal at 15, I just can't look past that Portugal at 15. I think that's
yeah.
a really nice price. Look, they haven't been in the greatest form heading into the tournament, and form means so much heading into these. It really, really does.
Yeah.
That's why I do worry about England, and I don't want to pick England as
Mm.
because I mean that they're winless in their last six matches, I think, heading into the tournament. So
Yeah, I think if you look again, so if we're looking past Brazil, which I think worthy favorites, I think the Argentina obviously fantastic price chance, but I think that their odds look right. But in terms of something that has a little bit of value, I would also look to Spain and Portugal, because I think those prices are both pushed out a little bit, and I don't really see any justification for that. It's besides the fact that the favorites Brazil have got quite a bit shorter. So I think certainly, as I said, I do fancy England, but I think their odds are not inhibitively short, but they're not great. So I agree with you. I think Spain and Portugal are of sort of that's where the value territory begins. And then if you go further down the odds board, I mean, sure, you could try and make a case for a team like Uruguay, but it's going to take a hell of
no,
a lot of permutations for that to
yeah,
happen.
yeah. There's just
Um,
too
even
much.
Bel- even Belgium, I think it's going to be tough for them to go all the way.
Yeah, Belgium were more at around 20. I might be
Mm,
interested in a little bit of a punt there, but I think the Portuguese, who are very similarly priced, and the same price, almost the same price as the Netherlands. I just think they're the best
yeah,
value kind of dark horse of the tournament.
yeah.
There's no one outside of that. Belgium, I can't back at that price. Switzerland at 100, I can't even consider backing.
Mm,
So Brazil, oof, yeah, I think I can't see anyone else outside of Brazil or Argentina winning, but I just don't want to back them at those prices. But we have had
mm,
quite a lot of luck. I had the 2018 World Cup winner right in France. We both had the Euro
yeah.
winner in Italy.
So maybe it's about time we just took a mug bet and just backed the favorites. And
Yeah,
I think, look, I mean, there's a lot of work goes into creating these numbers. I mean, these don't get pulled out of the air. And I mean, I've just given you a little bit of information on Brazil to tell you why they're justified as favorites. And I think, yeah, it's obviously not always fun backing a short price like that, but there's a reason that the Brazil are favorites. But look, always nice to try and find some value. So maybe backing Spain or Portugal at longer odds and riding a bet into the final with a bigger payout
Mm.
could be fun. So
Yeah, I'll
yeah.
definitely be taking a few of those. Name the finalists. Just be mixing it up. Throw a couple of
Hmm.
those in. Just the odds are just too juicy to ignore.
Yeah.
Top scorer. You got any fancies for top scorer?
Sure. Man, this is so tricky because often the top scorer will only score five, maybe
Mm.
six goals. So obviously over like over any tournament really. I mean, it's the EPL for instance. There's kind of there's time for a sort of space to get created, whereas it can kind of be a bit of a coin toss. With you might have a player who in some sort of nothing match, he scores a hat trick, and suddenly he's contending for top goal scorers. So I find it tricky. Where would you go with that one, Rob?
I just brought up the winner and top scorer, and I'm something like Brazil Neymar at 21. I think that's a
Hmm.
pretty tempting price right there. I mean, if Brazil are to win the World Cup, I think they need to get the most out of Neymar.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think about penalties as well. I think that's also
Harry
an
Kane, I
important.
think, is a good shot
Yeah,
for top scorer, but it just depends how England do. Obviously, I don't think Messi's worth mentioning. None of the French side I fancy for top scorer. I think
yeah,
it's going to be yeah. I also get these group games where a side wins like 6-0, and the dude goes and
yes,
scores a hat trick, and he's sitting on top of the,
yeah,
it's like Netherlands will smash someone, and you have a Dutch player as your top scorer because of pretty much
mm,
due to that.
exactly, yeah.
So it is something to bear in mind when you are betting on the World Cup. But yeah, Simon, I think that pretty much wraps up our outright previews. I think we're going to jump over to a quick look at some of the opening matches. It's going to be a long
Hmm.
one, but
Yeah,
let's bring those ones up.
yeah. I think this first. I mean,
Sorry, just give me 1 second. Yeah.
okay.
Okay. Right, here we go. So, the opening match, Qatar against Ecuador. Oh, good luck. Are you even going to watch that one?
I mean, it'll be just after the opening ceremony, so more than likely, huh? Well, they're going to have the
Oh,
opening
what a
ceremony the night
terrible
before.
opening match there.
Yeah.
Gosh. It's going to be a bit of a dull one. Qatar at 3.3 as the hosts, and Ecuador at 2.335. You fancy anything here? Maybe a draw.
Sure. I mean, I would have to say something like that. I mean, there's obviously what we were talking about earlier with internationals. There's a tendency towards the unders, and there are a lot of draws, and you'll find that there'll be matches where there'll be big favorites that'll also where the match will also end in a draw. So, but yeah, tendencies to low scoring draws in these kind of matches. So I would agree with you there.
And then the England versus Iran match, I fancy unders here. It's 1.36 on England. Iran are 10. And Iran not really given much of a chance. Both teams to score no is 1.45. So then the bookies aren't expecting Iran to score a goal
Yeah,
here. I
yeah.
don't think that England's going to be smashing too many past them, especially with their recent form. So I do like that under 2.5 at 1.71. It's not the best odds, but I
Mm,
do think Iran are going to come out very defensively in this one. It's going to be a very slow first half, very
yeah.
difficult first half. So maybe something like half-time draw, full-time England could be a value punt there.
Yes, no, I like that. I like that. And that's the thing. If you think about that, look how unevenly poised these teams are, and you're still getting only 1.71 on the unders. Just shows you that there's always the expectation in these internationals that there are fewer goals than you'll see, for instance, in the Premier League.
Yeah,
Um,
especially with the World Cup, the guys are just so nervous. It's on the big stage.
Yeah, they don't get to play often very much. They
Mm.
get a few weeks of preparation, and obviously they meet in other internationals. But it doesn't matter how good your team is on paper. They don't train together very often. You suddenly put all these brilliant players together. They don't gel as a unit immediately. You'll often see teams that'll only really start getting warmed up towards the end of a tournament. So it's goals are hard to come by.
Yeah, completely agree. So let's move on to Senegal versus Netherlands. I think Netherlands are probably going to take this one, 1.61. I think there might be a couple goals in this one.
Yeah, I think so. I think I think they'll definitely be that'll go over 2.5 in my
Yeah,
opinion.
me too. I
Yeah.
also fancy that. And then the last one that we're going to be covering, because the next set's going to be, we do the podcast next week with the next set of fixtures. We have USA versus Wales. I fancy a draw here. I don't, maybe a scoring draw, 1-1, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Look, I mean, we chatted about it earlier when we discussed that group. It's Group B, right? Those teams are going to be hard to separate. And as you say, USA taking one of their strongest teams into the World Cup. And Wales can certainly be competitive. They've got some brilliant players. So I think it's going to be hard to separate those two. And I think a draw is the more than likely result there.
Both teams to score at 2.07 also appeals a little bit. I don't think this is going to be I don't think it's going to be too high scoring, but I don't think it's going to be one of those 0-0 games. I think there'll definitely be a goal or two in this one, and I fancy both sides to pick up. I just can't pick a winner here. That's the problem. I'd give the edge to Wales maybe, but I mean the USA are just such a good team rather than when compared to Wales. So yeah, I'm going to go with both teams to score here, 2.07.
Yeah, there's actually, I mean, in terms of the round one fixtures, there's a little accumulator that I like, which would be England to beat Iran, Argentina to beat Saudi Arabia, Brazil to beat Serbia, and Croatia to beat Canada.
Brazil to beat Serbia. Let me find that one. So I've got England, I've got Argentina. You had Brazil to beat Serbia, yeah,
and Croatia to beat Canada. And the time that I looked at that, the odds were 3.92. I'm not sure what they are now, but you should get nearly 3-1 on that. And I think that's quite a fair bet. And I think out of all the favorites you could take, I feel like those ones are the most solid. England, Argentina, Brazil, and Croatia.
I'm looking for that Croatia fixture. Can't seem to find it right now. Croatia to beat Canada. Ooh, yes. 1.8.
Yeah.
That is a gift. That is a gift and a half.
Yeah.
I think we'll be chatting about that one. Those odds are surely going to shorten. But yeah, getting 4.22 over on Betway here.
Okay, there we go. Yeah.
Yeah, that's quite a nice one. So I think I'll put that one through. Then we'll keep track on the progress of it. Nice little spread out one. But yeah, guys, that brings us to the end of our first World Cup podcast. We'll be chatting next week a bit more about betting specials. Unfortunately, bookmakers haven't released much this year. It's been a bit disappointing, Simon.
Yeah, it has. I mean, obviously, we thought kind of a couple of weeks ago, well, they may be just a bit behind schedule and we'd see a lot of offers and promotions coming out, but there have been very few and far between, actually. But yeah, there are a couple that we'll talk about, but hopefully by the time we chat to the listeners next week, there'll be a flurry of them, but it doesn't look too promising so far.
No, it doesn't. I mean, it's Tuesday. It's, 5 days or so to go until the World Cup kicks off, and I've seen maybe one over on Palace Bet.
That's it, yeah.
I know Betway are coming out with theirs in the next day or so they do have something coming at least. But WSB, Hollywood, nothing.
Nothing. And I mean, I expect Bet.co.za will probably come out with one as well, just because they are very good with their promotions. But again, very, very late to the party.
And hopefully they have some nice ones, because I know that most of the ones that are coming out are going to be these, apologies for that, are going to be these kind of, win 10 million, win 5 million, make predictions, do that. So, I want actual betting promotions where you give me odds boosts or give me, those kind of things. Specials.
Absolutely, and not exactly. And I think odds boosts are fantastic, and also not just often Hollywood come out with a 15% deposit bonus up to 10 grand, and that's great, and it does give you an opportunity to roll over that bonus money and make a big withdrawal. But at the same time, something which is much more specific to the World Cup, like an odds boost, or whether that be on a single bet or on a multi, or I think that would be desirable, I think, for punters.
Yeah, just take the most popular bet sides like England, Brazil, and if they draw, you get your money back, that kind of thing. And it's you put a max limit on how much you can put down on it, for example, a max refund. But yeah, there's got to be more coming out soon. But anyway, we'll chat about that next week. Guys, thanks for tuning into this episode. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll catch you in the next one. Have a good one. Cheers.